What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. Season 4 of the Mindshare podcast. I'm your host, David Greenspan, and additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kits Keep in Touch Systems and our friends over at the Buzz Conference. Now, be sure to follow the Buzz on Instagram at the Buzz Conference. Give them a visit, www.thebuzzconference.com. Keep up with everything they're up to, including these 2 upcoming events. Number 1, we got the Buzz Top Leaders Under 35 Summit taking place on September 29th at the Mississauga Grand. Number 2 is Disruption, which was originally scheduled for September. As I've mentioned several times in the past, it is now scheduled for January 12th, 2023. So be sure to get your tickets for both of these events. Go over to www.thebuzzconference.com. We are proud to have the Buzz Conference as an ongoing sponsor of the Mindshare podcast. And of course, Kits is with us. Kits is always with us as a sponsor. And I got to tell you that our team keeps coming up with these amazing new ways, this powerful marketing system to make it even more powerful. And it's one thing to use like a bright, shiny CRM because, well, hey, other people are using it. It's another level when you use CRM, which is a complete suite of marketing tools built right into it. I mean, no need for third-party providers, no need for separate email blast systems. All your social media tiles are built right in, websites, landing pages, an open house registry tool in your CRM, the most effective keep in touch tools to help you build the mind share. And I mean, seriously, Kits is absolutely loaded. You need to check it out if you haven't yet. And of course, I got to warn you, I mean, once you check it out, start using it, you're going to be hooked. I mean, I guess that's not like much of a warning whatsoever, as much as it is like friendly advice. But seriously, check out Kits by going to my site, mindshare101.com, and clicking on marketing. As you know, we are on a push to 100 reviews on iTunes, and I'd like to ask you, if you haven't yet, please take 2 minutes, rate the show, leave a review, and we're making it super easy for you. All you have to do is go to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. As always, thank you in advance. Today's episode is number 194. He's been selling real estate in Toronto for 9 years. With a dedicated focus on repeat and referral business, he has built a consistent 7-figure business. He's been named as top 35 under 35 in Canada, as well as in the top 1% nationally with Royal LePage. He is the host of the Tom Storey Show PodCast. He creates video courses for realtors and is regularly interviewed on CTV, CP24, Global News, and the Globe and Mail. Joining me on this episode of the Mindshare podcast is top 1% Toronto realtor, Tom Storey. Tom, welcome to the Mindshare podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. That was such a good intro. That was awesome. Thank you.
But it's a pleasure having you on, man. I appreciate you making the time, and I'm excited to get into this conversation with you, man. I mean, I know we titled this whole thing about how visibility beats ability, but just before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, take us back to like 9 years ago when you first got licensed. You got your license, you're licensed.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? Like, what was the first thing that you did to get your career off the ground?
To be honest with you, like that first year, I wouldn't call it a waste, but I really figured out like what not to do. I was 22 years old. I was living in my parents' basement at the time as I was selling real estate. Like that's how I started. Frankly, that's how I afforded to start this because I couldn't have been able to afford to pay rent at that same point. And you got to remember too, like when you start at whatever age, it's always like the people like, you'll just work with the people that know and like you. And the problem is like, it takes a few years for them to actually trust you in this new thing. Right. And I think that's, so like, I remember that first 6 months, I think I did one sale and I was doing leases to try to survive. Right. Like I literally built my entire business in downtown Toronto, putting ads on Kijiji, trying to find strangers to lease, because at the time I'm 22, my friends certainly can't afford to buy real estate. Most of them can't even afford to rent real estate, and their parents that maybe even have a house don't look at me as the guy that's going to sell their house, right? So it was really tough to get started. And I even remember about 6 months in looking and being like, okay, I've made like $10,000. This isn't going to work. How am I going to make this happen? And I really felt like what I was doing was just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. I wasted time. I tried to do all these things that didn't matter. I was naive to think that I could come into an industry that was established and had systems that worked. And fundamentally, I don't actually think real estate's changed in 30 years. I just think the tools are different. The things just, you wake up every day, you get appointments, right? You meet with buyers and sellers. But that first year was very difficult. Like I had a really rough first year, and looking back at it now, I'm kind of happy it happened because I learned what not to do in my business, but I was certainly not a natural out the gate.
Okay, so hold on. So the biggest takeaway was when you start your license, go live in your parents' basement.
Yeah, save some
No, I'm
money.
joking.
Yeah.
No, but you bring up a good point though. Like people don't have the level of trust in you right off the hop. And I mean, I tell everybody much the same, like regardless of that point there, when you first get licensed, you just get in the industry, like before you brush your teeth tonight, go and build up a contact list, like have the database ready to rock, right? Get in touch with people. But again, building trust, establishing that with people is very difficult. I know a lot of folks who they're like, well, do you count a lease as like part of my deals? I'm like, hell yeah, dude. If it's money, put it towards
Yeah.
your deals, right? But the question is, like, in terms of deals, like, where did the first deal come from? Was it somebody you know? Was it a complete stranger? Like, what were you doing for that?
Yeah, the first deal was, you can call it database. At that point, there was
Okay.
no repeat business, right? It was all
Yeah,
new.
for sure.
So the first deal did come from the database, but even before that, it took 6 months to get that first deal to happen, that the
Yeah.
first sale at least, right? I was doing leases in between. Probably did like 60 leases that first year, which by the way, if you're a new realtor in a part of Canada that allows you to do leases, do them. Like, don't think you're too good for them. That's a terrible mindset. Like, I learned every condo building downtown. I knew every floor plan. I'd walk in, the concierge would be like, "What up, Tom?" Like, it got
Yeah, there you go.
right.
Nice.
And then I was building confidence. And I think also with leases, it's like it teaches you how to do 8 transactions a month, or 2 a week, or 3 a week, or even 4 a week. And then as you go down further in your career, it's not like it's harder to sell 4 homes or sell 10 homes a month. It's just you're doing the same things. It's just you're getting paid 10 times more.
Right.
So yeah, I built my entire database on that. And I remember before that first sale happened, which was a friend that I grew up with that trusted me that early on, is I had 2 people that knew me very well that said to me like, "Hey, we know you're doing this now, but we can't use you because my dad's financing this and we have to use his person." I even had a family member that first year not use
Wow.
me. So it's
Wow.
like, I just want to say that because I know there's a lot of people that are extremely discouraged that are in those first 2 years. Whatever you do, never burn a bridge. Because looking back now at those first 2 people that didn't use me, I've done so many transactions throughout their database, right? Like throughout their network. It's insane. But if I had been an idiot early on and taken it the wrong way, I would have ruined that relationship. But it just takes time for them to build the trust in you, right?
Totally. Now I'm gonna totally switch gears and like stick to that topic, but switch gears from the client thing because I saw a video you put out the other day, which I loved the video. I'm sure I engaged and like put a comment or something on it because I just backed it. But the whole thing you were talking about when it came to collaboration with other agents,
Oh yeah.
right? You just
Massive.
said it. Don't burn bridges, and we see it all the time. You reach out to an agent who did a showing on your list, and you're like, hey, how'd it go? Crickets. You reach back, and then like I know there's people that just ignore. There's other people that come back and go, listen, if I want to give you feedback, I will let you know. I will give you feedback, but like stop asking me. And you think to yourself, why are people treating each other like this?
Mm-hmm.
Referrals come in all shapes and sizes. I just want to bring light to that because I thought I really enjoyed that message about collaboration.
Well, I think now it's like if you look at a listing and your client really likes it, and then you look at the listing agent's name and you get like a pit in your stomach, it's probably because you don't have a good relationship with them. That shouldn't be the way this works, right?
Right.
And especially now, like when the market is shifting, and I'm bringing this up to my sellers a lot in listing presentations, it is not just who's going to bring the highest offer to the table on your property, it's who's going to close. Who's going to firm up and
That's a great point, dude.
who's going to close? And listen, if I have 3 offers on your property and one of the agents just told me they met their client last week online, and the other agent said it's a repeat person, they really, but they have a condition, and there's a firm offer by an agent I've done 4 deals with, and it's $5,000 less, but I know they don't mess around. I know they wouldn't be running around with someone unqualified. I'll give that information to my seller and allow them to make the decision. So, and that's the same thing too that I've realized now is it's been really cool because I have team members that work on our team that will make offers, and other agents will be like, "Oh, you work with Tom or you're with the Story team." And there's like this trust built. So like, I understand, listen, lease conditions, highest price wins most of the time, but when you call an agent, to ask a question about a listing, you actually get a real answer. They don't give you the runaround, right? So it's so important.
Absolutely, man. So here, okay, talking to trust and bringing this back full circle here. When we look at the fact that, hey, oh, you work with the story team. Yeah, you work with Tom. Okay, I trust you. This whole thing that we're going off about today, like, why does visibility beat ability? And like, what does it mean to you when it comes to your consistent focus on what I like to call building mindshare?
Yeah. So I think I should preface this by saying that it doesn't mean it's more important than ability. It just comes first.
Hence why I wanted to clarify, because I'm sure, I mean, again, through the conversation that we had pre-show,
Yep.
that's exactly where both of us are thinking. But so let's clarify that and define, like, what does it mean? Because I definitely want to make sure everybody understands you need to have ability, right? Like, we
You
need to know and confidence and trust and like you've got capability in this business. But
Yeah.
there's an aspect that's important about building mindshare, the visibility, right?
It's 100%. Like I can tell you this. I know that there's a real estate agent out there that is the absolute best at servicing their clients there, that they know all the forms they could, they're dreaming about like conditions. Like they are not the top salesperson.
Right.
Why is that? Why is this someone that is so good at their job? Because I find in our industry, a lot of agents are good at servicing. If they get an opportunity, they can service the client, they can get it to the finish line, they can even stay in touch and run a good system, but they don't have the opportunity. Right. So it came back to me. It was like, well, I don't care how good you are at what you do if no one knows you. Like, they're not going to call you. It's marketing, right? So visibility is marketing. Ability is sales skills, right? Now, I always think like kitchen table. So like, how do you get to the kitchen table in front of a buyer or seller?
This guy's using my lines now.
Yeah. I didn't even know that, but that's awesome.
No. It's like, because seriously though, like you think about real estate college, right?
Yeah.
Totally cut you off here for a second. But you think about like the learning. It's amazing because they don't necessarily teach you the sales skills and they don't teach you the marketing skills. So they teach you what to do when you're at the table. They don't tell you how to get to the table.
And
sorry, go on.
More than half the battle. So like, here's my other analogy, right? So like, when I drive up to my cottage, there's like an en route that you can get off, and there's like all the chain, the Starbucks, Wendy's, Tim Hortons, whatever, right? Now, when I'm hungry and I see that, I go like, oh, fine, I'll just get off. Now, could I have got off at one more stop and gone to a small little local shop and got a really good sandwich that was way better? Yes. And that sandwich is better, but why not? Because they made it more convenient. They were easier to work with. And then taking that back into what we do, right?
Right.
So I even had it where I thought, and by the way, I got this idea originally. I was interviewing Steve Pacinelli. He's the CMO of Bomb Bomb. Mm-hmm. And he brought it up to me and he said like visibility over trumps ability. And I just kind of like rearranged it because I really liked it. And that's the first time I heard it. And I actually disagreed with him the first time he said it. And I was like, no, it doesn't. You got to be great at what you do. Right. But so like for me, I still 60 to 70% of our business is downtown condos. And we're getting into a lot more freehold now because our clients are maturing and moving out. But I would think like, okay, if I'm John Smith and I own a condo in King West, how does he know who I am?
Right.
How does he know?
So I wanted to ask you that then. What are you doing to market your business right now? Like, which channels do you put the most emphasis on to get that guy to know who you are?
So I'll break it into 3 categories because I actually like really love talking about this. Like, this is really where I think we can go in depth with. So the obvious one is repeat and referral database, right? You have a system in place, whether you're running kits or another system, you're staying in touch, you're getting a guaranteed return from that database. I know I can run that system and shut my eyes and we'll get a 22% return because I've done it 4 years in a row. We'll get 75 sales guaranteed out of a group of just over 300 people. Like, I know because the system is
75 sales on a group of 300 people.
Yeah. Now they're not all moving, but they're
ROI.
referring.
Yeah. But that's massive ROI right there.
And if that's the only thing I could do, they said you can only do one thing in your business, it would all be spent there. Everything.
On the contact list.
Yeah, it's every month. What are you sending of value to your database? You know this, throwing client events. It's just being there. And then the one that's been huge for us has been the video CMAs. Like in March heading into April and August heading into September, every single person in my database, I'll sit here, I'll pull up the last 3 sales. on your street or in your building. Be like, hey, David, it's Tom. This is my real estate health check. So I know you go to your doctor and your dentist at least twice a year. We should chat twice a year about what's going on in the market. So I know you have no interest in selling. That's totally cool. I just want to show you what's going on. So if you can see on my screen here, these are the last 3 properties that sold. Now check out number 2. That was the exact same lot size as yours, but actually only had a single car garage. You have a double car garage. And check out just in the top right there, check out the sold price. Anyways, I hope you're doing well. Have a great day. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Right?
Dropping some bombs right there. But that's planting seeds, right? That's exactly what it is.
That video last year, 21 listings initiated from that video.
Wow. You guys, I hope everybody just tuned right into that. And okay, so Tom, how much time are you spending, let's say, recording those videos?
A lot, but I'm the one, well, 45 seconds to a minute on each video. They're quick.
Cool. But you're doing it for like 300 people.
I'm doing it for a lot of people. So I'll schedule that out, and my assistant will now give me the comparables. So I'm just bringing them up and bang. And you know, when you get into a rhythm, right?
Totally, man.
I can get 50 done in a day if I want to.
Yeah. The first one will take you 10 minutes. The next 49 will take you like, 15 minutes total.
Exactly. So that's the core of my business. Everything is repeat and referral, having that connectivity plan, staying in touch, making sure that my clients know that I exist. And when that moment of time comes, because the average person doesn't need a real estate agent that often, right? They don't. But when that moment comes, why would they think of you? And that's Mindshare, that's visibility, that's it. And like, there are, especially your past clients. Let's say you sold someone a house and they're in a neighborhood. They've been living there for 5 years. Well, guess what? They have a new friend who's also got their real estate license. They've been inundated with the local market specialists with their flyers. So if you think you're just going to get the second time's a guarantee, like, it's not. I can tell you it's not a guarantee. You got to be better on your game, right? So,
okay. So you're doing the news, like you're doing a monthly value piece, like a newsletter. You're doing the CMAs, which you do twice a year, essentially.
Home shows, tax assessment letter, micro events, manicures and mimosas, pasta making, our big event we just did in the summer. Like, I could go through the whole year.
Yeah.
Pumpkins, all the stuff, right? And that has got me to a point that I can look back now at the database. And I know for each person I put in my database, because I'm strict with it, you don't just get in there. Like, you got to earn your way in there. And by the way, I still have a B list.
Yeah.
Like I have my core.
So there's the everywhere dumping ground, and then there's going to be like the, again, A-listers, let's call it.
And the math now is, if I put someone in my database, I have to understand that I am willing to spend $150 per year on that person to run this system. That's basically the math. All now, I'm not saying put a dollar thing on a client's head. That's not what I'm saying. But you got to know what's going to cost you. And I know with that database, for every dollar I spend, I can get $14 back.
Well, listen, there's some easy math, and I put this out a little while back around, and folks have heard me say this, but let's say you're pulling only 5 deals off of 100 people, each deal worth $20K. And I know from a keep in touch system perspective, like a KITS perspective, you implement that and that alone, which I'm not suggesting that that's the only thing you do by any means, but you implement that and that alone, it's like $15 a head all year.
Yeah.
On a decade, it's $150 right there. So on 100 people per year, you're only $1,500. Well, on a decade, you're 15 grand. But again, at $20K a deal on a minimum 5 deals, that's $1 million in ROI. The numbers are massive.
And it's like, it's better business.
Wow,
they're referring you. They're repeat client. It's like fun. There's no sales pitch. It's just like, now again, that's a part of it. If I would then go to like new business opportunities and what I've been really focusing on lately, and monthly video updates is where this all started. I
want to talk to video. And I actually, just before you go into the other side of people, do you make phone calls a lot to your list as well? Like outside of the video, outside of the stuff that you mail? Of
course.
Are you a big phone guy?
I'm not a huge phone guy, but I will say I always have an opportunity to phone my database if I need to. That's not a sales call because of all the stuff we send them. So, did you have fun at our client event? Would you like the pictures we took of you at the client event? Did you like having fun at the home show? Like, it's an easy call to make.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I cut you off there. You were about to go to the other side of things now.
Okay. So like, this is, when I started, I think YouTube is the most underutilized platform for real estate agents. And the reason why is it takes more time and you have to be more consistent with it.
Yeah.
We have sold 19 properties this calendar year from YouTube, from
just
strangers. YouTube alone. It's become I think you can get to 20
How
deals.
do you track that? Are you asking people specifically, where did you find us? And they're like, we found you on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. At this point on YouTube, I have like just over 6,000 subscribers and they're mostly consumers. A lot of my other platforms, I have realtors following me,
Yeah.
but on YouTube, I have consumers and
Okay.
I make topics on things they care about. Not here's the 5 reasons I'm a good realtor, because nobody cares about that.
No one gives
They
a
care
shit.
about what the average condo price was, what's going on
Right.
in the market. And I put out at least a video a week, if not 2 a week on YouTube. Now, in the first 30 seconds of every video, other than asking them to like and subscribe, I'll be like, if you watch this video and you found it valuable and you want to make sense of the crazy real estate market here in Toronto, you can book a call directly with me in the first link in the description, a buyer call, a seller call, or just a call to chat about the market. Like I've said that so many times,
But
that's my
importantly,
call to
you've got a
action.
CTA, a call to
Oh yeah.
action in those videos, which is absolutely imperative.
And it takes them to my Calendly link.
Yep.
And they book it in on my time. And on the Calendly link now, I have a drop down that asks them where they found me. And it's either like friends and family, direct mail flyers, which we can get next because that still actually really works well, or social media YouTube. And they all click social media YouTube.
Yeah.
It's
Interesting.
insane. It's like,
Interesting, man.
I really think, because if you look at the other platforms, TikTok is full of real estate agents. Twitter is Twitter's just a negative place, so I'd stay out of there. But Twitter is Twitter. Instagram is full of real estate agents. Facebook is full of real estate agents. Actual real estate agents that are giving value on YouTube, there's not
Very
as much
limited.
competition as you think. Yeah.
It's arduous, man. It takes time to do that, right? And you got to be comfortable with video. And again, I want to get into that. Just before we jump into the video thing, as we talk about the social medias and we talk about the digital channels, you've mentioned how much you believe in repeat referral, and that's like the core of your business.
Yeah.
You've got a lot going on for your actual database. And again, we look at database and say that's where the ROI comes from. We also know that in this business, the bright, shiny object these days is all about online leads, right? Go spend money on leads, go chase leads, go chase leads. And like, hey, if I do absolutely nothing, but I sign up to this lead gen company, well, they're going to just send me leads and I'm going to be good. And I don't really have to do anything to get out there and build my own mind share because I'm just spending a couple dollars. I guess the question is, do you have or do you chase leads? And then the second part to that might be, if you had to choose one between chasing leads or working your sphere, I think I already know the answer, but which would it be? What do you say to all that? Just on the grander topic of like
Okay.
the online lead gen thing.
I've never paid a cent for an online lead in my 9 years of doing real estate because I've figured out the organic ways to do it. However,
Yep.
I know agents that run 7-figure businesses just on online leads, and they have the right systems in place, and it does work. Like the online lead is a real person with a heartbeat. They're just not ready on your schedule. They're going to buy in 8 months, not in the next 3 weeks. Right. But I just realized I don't want to run that type of business. And I look at cost per sale. So it's like, what did I have to spend? For every dollar I make, what did I have to spend to get that opportunity, right?
And how much effort did you have to put in to try to close that opportunity?
Right, exactly, right. And then you can build in your, well, what are you worth per hour on your time, and build and really build it in, right? So it's like my database is like 10 cents on the dollar, 15 cents on the dollar all day long, right?
Well,
An
let me ask you
online
this
lead,
though. Yeah, sorry. Your database, the people that you stay in touch with,
yeah.
would any of those people ever be an online lead?
They maybe have started as an online lead, then we sold them something, and then they went into the database.
But I'm saying, like, now that they're there, now that they
Yeah.
know you, like you, trust you, they know what you bring to the table, will they ever become an online lead to somebody again?
I don't
We can't
think so.
guarantee that they wouldn't,
No.
but that's my point. Is like,
I mean,
if you're doing what you're supposed to be, they're not going to be an online lead to somebody else.
yeah, I mean, in terms of like recently, how I've not held retention on people is divorces, breakups. It gets political in those situations. It is what it is. Or someone that they know really well gets their real estate license. That's how I've lost clients.
Yeah.
There's some things you just can't control, and I also recognize like you can be great. There's no owning relationships here. It's just like providing as much value as you can consistently, right? So. Yeah.
So you're going to say referrals over online leads all day, every day, though.
Yes. And then
Not to put words in your mouth. Correct me if I
no,
put that
100. That's where I would start. If I'm an agent, not at least getting a 15% return on my database, I wouldn't focus anywhere else. I would drill it in there. How can you build that out? How can you build that system? But the problem is that it is going to take time. Like it takes time, right? So if you look right now, and when I say database, I don't just mean the list of everyone you've ever collected, but like a true database, right? at least you should be getting a 10% return. You should be able to get 10 deals on every 100 people in your database, I think, if you're just running a system that stays in touch.
10 deals on every 100.
I think so. I think at the minimum, if you're doing it consistently and you're patient with it, because it, like everything, like farming, like making YouTube videos, like putting out content, it's going to take 8 months before anything happens.
Right. So
right.
Hold on. Are you telling me that there is no like secret magic pill? There's no overnight like just solution?
No, there is. It's called waking up every day and doing really boring, mundane tasks over and over again until the results show up.
But seriously, that's what it comes down to. Like sometimes it feels like you get up and you're just running on a hamster wheel all day. But if you do those tasks consistently and you continue to progress through that stuff, good things do come from it.
I think the only thing that separates $1 million real estate agents from the people that are just scraping by is patience with the systems, because they know they're going to work, consistency, and execution. That's it.
Oh, I love that. Dude. And patience, consistency, execution.
Those are the only three things. And also be like, I had a listing presentation this morning, and my assistant came with me, and there's one thing that we both caught that the client said. He's like, I just like that you're easy to work with. And I was like, huh, okay. Because we think we have to complicate everything. Some people just want to sell their property. They don't need to be real estate pros at the end of it. Like, don't overcomplicate it unless that's what they're looking for. So yeah, to answer your question, like those are the three things. And then I should also say, so like with the video stuff, so YouTube's a massive lead source for me. I really enjoy it, but it's harder than just doing a quick vertical green screen TikTok for 60 seconds. Like, you really have to sit down and plan it out. And
tell me about that. I wanted to ask you about that because, again, you do a great, like, again, first off, great job on the videos. Like, the stuff looks good. You're well-spoken. There's a lot of knowledge there as well. There's value that's being put out there. And personally, just looking at the messages, which I already sort of stated earlier on, even about the collaboration, love the message. And with that, though, coming from somebody who also does do a lot of work with video, it takes time. I mean, coming up with content is one thing. Execution is another thing. Consistency, as you just said it here. These are all things that actually you have to put work and time into. What is your trick to that, to coming up with content, to execution? Tell us more about that. Because I think there's a lot of people that want to do it. Most people don't even go near it.
If you're looking for content that people will care about, at least in long form, when I say long form, I mean like over 8 minutes on YouTube or something. First, type in the real estate market you work into Google and type in that. It's like Toronto real estate, and then click news. And there will be 15 terrifying news headlines that you can run. And that is now the title of your video. Okay. So that is your visibility. That is your mind share. That gets them to click on it. Once they are there, then you can break it down and educate them. And it's going to be a very positive video about what's actually going on, and how it's more than just the headline, right? Where they say, you know, sales numbers are down 40%. Like, the average consumer sitting at home hearing that might think, oh my God, prices are down 40%. No, sales are down 40%.
Right.
But I know that sounds obvious to me and you, and maybe a lot of people watching this, but most people don't care. They buy a house, they want to live there, and then they want to sell it one day. Like, they're not watching it like we are, right? That's the first thing. And then it's like, and by the way, if you want to go to my YouTube videos and type in my name, go back to the beginning ones and watch them. Like, they weren't good.
At the time you thought they were good, but now you look back, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
I remember I used to wear a suit and tie in all my videos. And then the first one I put out was on Facebook, actually. And it actually did really well in terms of like engagement. Yeah. And I had my buddy text me. He's like, good video, but like your eyebrows didn't move the whole time. Like, are you okay? And because I'm like trying to be
very like political. You're trying to like, you know, like the politicians. Too much.
Yeah, like I just like trying to be this version of myself that I'm not. And now I film videos and hoodies and sweatshirts and whatever I feel comfortable in. And when we were talking about online leads too, like we hear, okay, if you're converting at 4% on online leads, like you're a machine. It's hard to convert at even that. You gotta get ISAs, you gotta scrub them, all this stuff. I get online leads too, but they're different. And I will tell you, the person that watches you on YouTube for 6 months and then reaches out is not interviewing you. They're ready to go.
Right.
Like, I had someone, this sounds even funny saying this. Like, I had a buyer call last week and he booked a call with me. And he's like, first of all, I just want to say, like, big fan. I love all your videos. I'm like, man, I'm a real estate agent. Like, I'm just trying to, like, he was so excited to just talk to me. Isn't that crazy? Like, we think online
Super
leads are
cool.
just giving fake names. They are secretly dating you online for 6 months without you knowing who they are.
Okay, let me clarify this then too. When I bring this up and I bring up the conversation about online leads, I am being very specific, talking about the people that are paying for them
Yeah.
and not having anything else in place. The folks that are paying for them and not understand that the other systems need to be in place to actually do the follow up, to actually do the conversion, and then to do the nurturing after the fact to get your repeat and referral. Yes, there's people, and we both know them. Yes, there are. Look, there's a shit ton of people that have tried online leads that have completely faltered at them because they have zero idea how to do the conversion. They spend way too much money. There is a big group of people who are really taking advantage of them, spending a lot of money on them, but they do understand the process to get there. I don't believe that as many people have that kind of money to put out chasing the leads and then still go through and have the money to have the systems in place after the fact. So when I bring it up, I'm talking specific about the spending money aspect. To clarify even further, for the stuff that you're doing with YouTube, the stuff you're doing on social, you getting out there with people, me doing the exact same thing. And yes, we will spend money on our marketing. We will spend money on our content creation. We will do those things, but the money is being put into different avenues to then generate the opportunities online,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And I mean,
And
that's where your videos come from.
yeah, if I look back at like a recent, like I put out a video 2 days ago, I think it's at like 4,000 views talking about condo prices. And if you go to watch hours, like in the back end of YouTube Studio, I think it's been out for 2 days, but somebody somewhere has watched me talk about it for a collective of 35 days. Like, isn't that crazy?
That
How
is
can
wild.
you do that anywhere else? And
Absolutely.
like, how can you get that exposure? I don't know any other platform that actually gives you that, right?
And this is
Like,
the thing. I think that a lot of people don't understand how to really take advantage, let's say, of the video part of the game and really just leverage it in a different way. And I would double down on that and say that YouTube is definitely a place where it's underutilized because it is quite complex.
yeah,
Like once you begin to understand it from the tags and the consistency and the execution of recording video, once you start to do that stuff, that's where you can start to really benefit from a YouTube channel, which obviously you're doing right now. And I've got some coaching clients that I'm working with that have started to do. And it's amazing how you're just watching the opportunities climb because they're doing it the right way. But again, it comes back to creating the content. So when it comes to creating and coming up with the content, you said go to the news,
yeah, yeah.
find out the headlines, leverage those as topics.
And then the problem most people have is they have to set up their camera, have a space you can sit down and always record in. Okay. Like, I have 2 lights here. I have 1 light here. My DSLR is my webcam. I have my mic. My computer's in front of me. Like, I sit down and shoot. There's no thinking. I sit down and shoot.
Yeah.
I also always record once. If I screw up, I keep talking. You record, like, most of my YouTube videos are a 15-minute file that turns into an 8 or 9 minute video. And I'm just taking out the ums and ahs and little screw ups. And
Yeah.
I have my intro music, my outro music, my stuff in between. And what I'm doing now is I'm using a program like StreamYard. I use one called Ecamm Live for Mac computers. And it just lets me share my screen. So if I want to talk about a news article, I don't have to like edit it in after. It's happening in front of me. There's no memory card in my camera. It's all going to my computer. I've just simplified it so that would be the big thing. And then what I would say also right now, a big trend that's happening, and I've noticed you've been doing it as well. I've jumped on. A lot of people are doing it. It's the short form, talk to the camera, Instagram style vertical video with subtitles, and they're performing really well.
Yeah.
If you don't want to commit the time to a YouTube video every single week, at least go rent a studio for 3 to 5 hours, shoot 30 Instagram reels, and then you have content for the next 2 months.
Well, I was just about to ask you, like, tell everybody. I mean, and I guess you just said it, but I was
Yeah.
going to say, like, how do you go from, producing more video and taking it down to, spending 3 hours producing one video to being a hell
Yeah.
of a lot more efficient to 3 hours producing 30 videos?
Well, first of all, I don't think you should be doing it all on your own if you're trying to sell real estate. I think for that level of production, you need to hire someone. So I have a video guy. We have a shared like note on our iPhones.
Mhm.
And when I get an idea, I'll pop it in there.
Nice.
And then I'll also go back to a YouTube video I just did that was 9 minutes and be like, how do I make this 30 seconds? So I'm
Totally.
repurposing, right? And then what we'll do, like we rent out the Mint room in Toronto. We have a room that we rent that's like, I don't know, $70 an hour or something.
Is that the blue background there?
Yeah. It's
That's
in the
cool. It
junction.
looks good, man. It looks
So
really
we
good.
just keep going back to the same room. We've only done 2 sessions, and that's been all the content that I still have more to go, and we'll book another one. We book it every like 2.5, 3 months. And then we just go and we just bang it out, and we're there for a purpose. We get our content done, and then he kind of just updates the Dropbox for me, and then I have content whenever I need it. And what I will say too is I talked about earlier about how YouTube is mostly consumers watching me, and I get a lot of business from it. I know that of the 11,000 people that follow me on Instagram, 7,000 of them are real estate agents. I know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, I don't know, you've maybe noticed this. The content I'm putting on Instagram now in those little videos, some is for consumer, but a lot is talking to agents.
Oh, trust me, I've seen some of those
Right.
messages. I'm like, I'm reading between the lines of what's going on right now.
So what I'm doing is I'm speaking to the audience in the place where I know they exist, because Realtor Referrals is a massive part of our business as well. I think we did like 26 last year, inbound sales that came, and most of them start with a DM from Instagram being like, hey, Tom, I know you're the Toronto guy. Can you help out our client?
Right.
So it's making content in the areas, because the consumer is on Instagram, but Instagram or TikTok, they're kind of like looking to be entertained. YouTube, they went to a place for a purpose and searched a topic and found you, and they want to learn about that topic. So it's just different.
And that's exactly, and it's understanding the differences between the platforms and the content that has to go out. I mean, are you using the shorts feature on YouTube as you're using YouTube right now?
We're trying it on the podcast channel.
Yep.
Some do really well, some nothing. So we're trying to learn that. But I think it's clear that whatever content you're doing, take it and repurpose it, because you just never know what one video is going to hit.
Well, there's okay. You never know which video is going to hit. You never know who's watching and where. The same way somebody will come to you and say, like, dude, I've been watching for 6 months or 8 months or whatever. I mean, I've told the story before, but I remember the first time I was ever invited to be interviewed on the radio by one of the main radio stations downtown. The producer emails me, and I remember I was in the garden, like literally like doing some gardening in the backyard or something like that. And I get this email, and I like stop to get a glass of water. I'm reading the email. It's like, hi, my name is so-and-so. And I've been following you I'm the producer of such and such radio station. I've been following you for 2 years and want to see if you'd join us on the show. And instead of being excited that like I just got invited to be on the radio, I'm looking going, dude, you've been following me for 2 years. I've never even heard of you.
That's what I love.
That's one of the many examples, though, of like, you don't know who's watching. You don't know how often they're watching. You don't know when they're watching. You might put out a video that gets 1 view. You might put out a video that goes viral. As long as you're consistent with your content and you just keep going, trying to get better at it, good things are going to happen. And only so few people will be resilient enough to keep pushing.
The one thing I talk about when I try to train realtors on video is that, and you just said it, everybody is silently watching. Not only they're just watching, but they're doing it silently.
Yeah.
So if you
call it stalking, they're stalking you.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we all did it this morning at some point. We grabbed our phone and we were looking at someone, right? And we didn't like it or comments or text them and said, hey, I looked at your photo. Like, they didn't know, right? But we saw it. So these people are there, but most people do it silently, right? So it's like, the people that don't agree with you, or like, I'll get the rude YouTube comments every once in a while. Like, it is what it is. The people that don't want, like, have something mean to say will be very vocal about it. The people that are enjoying it are actually pretty quiet.
Okay, let's talk to that for a second.
Yeah.
When you're getting haters, you're actually being noticed. That's number one. So you should embrace that. Number two, just briefly on that. Do you respond to that stuff? Do you acknowledge that stuff?
Try to just be as nice as possible with them, because it's never worth. And if it gets to a point that it's actually getting like really abusive or whatever, why I love YouTube the best as a platform is you can just make the person disappear. They think their comment's still there. They can still comment all your videos, but no one else sees it other than them.
Gotcha.
Where on Twitter you can block them, but then they see you block them, and it's that's a whole nother thing. Instagram, you can restrict people. So I don't really engage that often, but if they don't agree with me and have a valid point, I'll discuss with them. But if they're just like, you're an idiot, it's like, okay, thanks.
It's like, it's a public discussion. You'll go ahead and answer publicly.
And totally.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. And even
it's
now,
one of those things, right? Like, you get somebody making a negative comment. Some people are like apt to like start biting back, and I'm going, no, you got to bite your tongue at that moment. It's one thing to stand up for yourself, but it's another thing you got to remember. Like, there's a lot of people, like we just said, there's a lot of people looking that are going to say nothing, but they will form an opinion.
And note, the cool thing is, if you build enough of a following in the comments, if someone says something rude, the people that follow you will
They'll
back
start.
you
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
That's
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is cool. That is very cool. So, what do you say to those who are hesitant to get onto video to produce content? And again, I mean, we just talked about why it's so important to leverage. And I think if we really sum the like why it's so important to leverage is the fact that people will get to know you. They will form an opinion about you. They will basically make a decision on like, I want to work with you. By the time they call, they're like ready to go.
Yeah.
Right. Why is creating content so important? Like, and again, what do you say to those people who are hesitant to get on video? And I'm talking as of like today in
Yeah.
this time that we're in.
I mean, I want to say, I trying to say this like in a nice way. Like it doesn't matter what you think anymore. Like it is, we are past the point of acknowledging that it's not already king. And
Right.
I think if you're a real estate agent that's going to wrap things up in the next 5 years in your career, don't do video. If you hate it, by all means, run with your database, do your thing. If you want to grow and you're not incorporating video into your business in some capacity, you're going to fall behind.
There you go.
It just is what it is. Like, if you look at the trend now of agents, like I always just follow who has the market share. So when I'm looking at, I get the list from my brokerage where people rank, what were listings and sales
Mhm.
and things like that. And even the teams that are established and maybe more mature in terms of being around in the industry for a while, they're getting really into this content, right? So it doesn't even have to be you, but someone on your team has to be doing it. It's just such a massive opportunity. Like
Yeah.
otherwise, the sad reality is someone is going to know who you are more because they see you here than they do because they drove by a for sale sign.
Yeah.
Because we're on
Yeah.
our phones more than we're on anything. So I think you should
It's
be where
become a
people
habit for
are.
people now. Like you said it, we just grab our phone. I think most people grab it, first thing in the morning, which I always recommend. Stop doing that. Like pick up a book, drink a glass of water, look outside, get your mind ready. And to me, just being a sports guy, it's like warm up before you step in the game, right? This way you're
Right.
ready for the game. Same way, like at the end of the day, don't make it the last thing you do. Cool down now that you're done the game and get yourself together so you can restart again tomorrow and be as strong as you possibly can. Now, speaking of social on a regular and just like being present, and you mentioned that you've already been on there this morning, as have I, as have probably everybody that's tuned into this right now, anybody holding a phone in their hands. How much time do you spend on social media today? Do you track that? And do you have any processes in place to ensure that you are making the most of your time? Because again, as we know, you're super successful with your business. You're spending a lot of time obviously servicing clients, and there's a lot of other things that you got going on. How big of a piece of sort of your day does social media take up?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll answer that, but I want to share something just quickly with you because I
Yeah, yeah.
heard this and it totally changed my perspective.
Yeah.
1% of the population creates and 99% of the population consumes.
Ooh, where'd you hear
So
that one?
on Twitter. but
Yeah, you don't
but
say.
but I thought about it and I'm like, okay, well then if you're gonna create, you already have such an unfair advantage because 99% of people aren't gonna do it.
They
And
want
then
to.
what if you get good at it? What if you get in the top 1% of the 1%?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like that's such an unfair advantage. So I've actually taken a very like strong stance on for myself. Like I don't actually consume as much as I used to. Um, I watch sports. That's what I
Mhm,
watch.
mhm.
That's pretty much it at this point. I'll watch some like tech videos on YouTube or like watches and that kind of stuff. But so to answer your question, yeah, I'm on Instagram, but it's mostly because I'm thinking about what to post.
Yep.
Not because I'm so much just scrolling mindlessly. And I don't really go on TikTok anymore either.
I would double down on that with you and say much the same. I again, both of us may be falling into that 1% because of the amount of content we produce. Um, there is a moment of time in my day where I will dedicate to as I'm going through and I'm looking at the feeds to actually engaging with other people and having real
Sure.
conversations rather than just again like I called it stalking other people. Much the same though, it's a very limited amount of time, and if I'm going to spend my time kind of consuming, I'm probably also going to my sports instead to just keep up on my Jays, my Leafs, like whatever the things that I'm interested in,
Yeah.
more so than I am looking for like the banter and maybe some of the toxicity that does exist on these social platforms of people just plain out bitching and complaining about God knows whatever else. I think again, it's look, it comes down to just having a control over the amount of time that you invest in consumption and what it is you're consuming.
Yeah, totally. And when you're engaging with other people, I don't know if there's a service doing this, but I'm getting these generic comments on a lot of my posts from
Oh
realtors that
yeah,
are like,
dude.
"No, you did not post that. Someone did that for you." I don't know what's going on. Um, but don't just think like you can comment something random. Like it's got to be a real comment if you're going to engage. If you really want to talk to someone, DM them, or even better, DM them with a voice note. That's going to get you a response. Like you want to actually connect with someone, go a little bit further, because I don't think people will even notice anymore. They're
Well,
like,
I'll tell you this, man. You know, you want to do that. I think DMs that come off of your stories
yeah,
are probably some of the most genuine conversations you're going to have because again, as we know, a story is only there for 24 hours. It's something that happened in the moment. If I engage with you based on that particular thing, there's a high chance you're going to reciprocate and come back to me. Now we're having maybe a long or a short conversation, but we're having a conversation,
I start a lot of
right?
conversations like that where agents that I didn't know
Totally.
will like comment on something and we'll go back and forth and it's like a nice convo. So yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Totally,
And
man.
you build friendships with people that are outside your market. Like we haven't been able to go to other than actually the Buzz in March, I haven't been to an in-person conference in 2 years. It's nice to talk with people that are doing the same thing.
Absolutely. And another shout out to our friends at the Buzz Conference, making sure that everybody's getting their tickets for the upcoming events in September as well as January. Go over to thebuzzconference.com, get those tickets. Now, as we talk about consuming content, we want to talk about negativity. And
Mm.
we've kind of touched on, educating, communicating with people, but the market is tougher now than it was over the past 2 years. Um, we know that the mainstream media is painting complete doom and gloom. Based on, your expertise in this industry, what should agents be focusing on right now to grow their business in this current market?
Get back to the basics. Like pick up your phone, talk to people, make sure that they understand. Like the yeah, it's like that's what you've realized, right? You've been doing this for so long,
Dude,
and nothing has changed.
like,
Nothing has
honest to
changed.
God, bro, we do video, we do
Yeah,
email blasts, like we do. I want to say we do it all.
yeah.
Nothing beats the phone call. It just
No,
doesn't.
it's so good. And if you want to grow your business now, well, first of all, what I would do is I would look at all the transactions you've done this year, and I would really source where each one came from. Was it repeat? Was it referral? Or was
Cool.
it new business?
Yeah.
Right? Where were you strong? Where were you weak? And what can you improve on? Right. So first you have to understand. And then what I've gotten my team to do now is we meet every single Tuesday and we'll talk about, okay, well, what did you accomplish last week? What did you not do that you want to accomplish? And what do you want to accomplish this week? Three main questions. We'll
Love
always talk
those.
about that. And
Yeah.
we always source it down to appointments. I know if I want to hit my numbers, I have to book 4.5 appointments per week. And for me, that means a buyer or a seller looking to buy or sell in the next 120 days. So when I wake up, that's what I do. That's why I make content. That's why I've called to actions. I'm really digging down in that. And you're going to have to work 4 times as hard right now to get the same results as you were getting previously. And I can actually tell you, I remember this and thinking I was like kind of crazy. When I spoke at the Buzz, the one at the end of March, I said, I showed on the graph, here's how many transactions happened last year. It was 35% higher than the year before. I said, who had their best year at some point in the last 2 years? And the whole room shot
Yeah,
up.
for
And I
sure,
said,
man.
keep your hand up if you think you're going to have your best year this year. And most kept them up. I'm like, all right, confident bunch in here.
Yeah,
But like the pie's smaller. But when the
absolutely.
pie is smaller, I've been doing this 9 years, so I haven't seen any massive downturns in the
Mhm.
market. But I saw 2017, and for the first 6 months of 2020, condos took a real hit. And I took over more listings than I ever have because people need someone that know what they're doing. And I'm sure you've discussed this too, but it's like, if you just show up and you're a yes man and you take orders, you're not going to last in this business. You have to have hard conversations because it used to be, okay, David, you're my seller. Hey, David, I've got 12 offers for you. Which one would you like? Would you like the top one? Like that's a fun conversation. Everybody's happy. Now it's like, hey, we had 2 showings last week. One person gave feedback. 2 more listings came to the market. This one just sold, but undercut us by about $30,000. If we want to get ahead of this next rate hike coming up in September, we're going to have to make a change now. Those are not fun conversations.
No,
But
but if you
that's
understand them, you can have them properly.
And you got to look like, I'm very much a data guy, but I try to take the data and package it nicely so that
Absolutely.
my clients can just go like, okay, yeah, it's hard to argue with it, right?
Are we in a
Um,
bad market?
no, there's massive opportunity.
Love the
Depends.
answer.
We're only in a bad market if you over leverage yourself as a buyer and bought in February with a variable rate.
Right.
Then you're not going to like the prices for the next 2.5, 3 years. But what percentage was that of Canada? Very small. No,
What
we're in a great market.
No, and listen, I love the answer. I couldn't agree with you more. There's just a shit ton of opportunity out there right now, and as long as you can communicate that properly to the people that again know you, like you, trust you, you're going to create even more opportunity. And in fact, what kind of message would you be sharing to your sellers at this moment in time right now?
If I'm a seller right now, and again, this is based on the micro market, so it depends, but most of the
Yep.
people I'm talking with, if you want to sell this year, do it now. Every day moving forward this year, prices will go down after rates go up in September 7th. It's going to happen. And then after that, there will be a point where I think they flatline till the end of the year. The one thing I've been watching very closely is new listings have actually been very low. So that's going to save us here. That's going to stop prices from going down because sellers are going like, well, if I can't get this, I just won't
I
list,
just won't let it's right.
which is going to be a good thing long
Right.
term.
Yep.
If you want to sell this year, sell now. I don't think you're going to get a better price this year. If you're going to buy, it really depends on what rate you currently locked in at, because you can wait till after September 7th and probably get a lower price, but then your rate might be up.
Yeah.
So just run the numbers on that. And I do think that buying a property at a lower price with a higher interest rate today is still better than buying a high price property with a low interest rate that could change.
Right.
Because like, so I
Well, you
just
got a
sold.
lot of variables there because the price starts to come down, your rates start to go up when you go up for renewal, and now you're into this awkward, yeah,
That's
exactly.
that's the big thing, the trigger
Right.
rate that everyone's talking about, the negative equity, all that kind of stuff. But it like, so I just sold one of my investment properties. I'm gonna go house hunting in the next few months. I'll probably take like a 1 year fixed or something and then switch to variable once things have calmed down. So like, then, and with my clients, I'm saying, here's what I would do. Talk to the mortgage broker, get your own advice, but if you can't sleep at night because rates are going to go up a little bit, or like, and you take a 5 year fix at 5% for the next 5 years, I think you're not going to love that either.
Right.
Because we're
Well,
getting
that's
some,
the idea. So to sellers, it's about making them understand that if you got to go, and this all comes down to understand their motivation,
yeah,
right? Like if timing says they have to make the move now, hey, sellers, make your move and do it now. Don't wait any longer because you're probably going to get better money today for your house than you will tomorrow.
yeah.
Much the same with buyers. The idea would be with them, hey, money's not getting any cheaper. If you've got to do something, now is also a great opportunity to do it. I mean, negotiation, conditions can go back into, offers now. There's not going to be as many multiples or any, many at all, if we want to call it. There's a lot of opportunity out there, and I agree with that completely.
Yeah. And every buyer we ever work with, the first thing we say is, how long are you going to own this property for?
Right.
As
Well, much
long
the
as
same with
it's,
sellers who've got these like unrealistic expectations. How long have you owned the property for?
yeah.
Hey, you're still way up,
Oh yeah, I know. And
right?
it's relative. As long as you buy and sell in the same market in 90 days, unless you bought in March and tried to sell, like, right, but that just is what it is. We can't get those variables with Bank of Canada and figure it out exactly. It's relative. Yeah, prices are down, but then the next place you buy is going to go down. I look at it right now. If you're an upsizer, I would be licking my chops right now, because condos have not taken that much of a price decrease, but
Mhm.
detached properties are down 500 grand in Toronto.
Right. It's crazy.
So
It's
the
crazy.
jump up, if you can make it happen, and if you're a cash buyer, you're looking right now. If you're looking for commercial real estate, oh my God, there's opportunities.
Dude, speaking of opportunity, you've had a lot of opportunity to share your insights in the media as part of, your marketing mix. And I got to imagine this is obviously very helpful when working to build the trust with a lot of people. Keeping with our topic of visibility, how have you generated so many opportunities to be like in the mainstream media?
So it started because the company I work for has a PR department. And they saw me making like my little YouTube videos and was like, okay, he looks comfortable in front of a camera. Maybe we'll give him an opportunity. So it was, they saw me, I gave them that visibility to know I existed, right? That's how it started. And now it's got to the point that I just have done it so much that I'm like on the Rolodex of all the media outlets, and they'll just call me and say, do you want to do the news today? Um, I pretty much will clear my schedule unless there's something I absolutely can't move to do the news. Because if you say no too many times, they will stop calling you back.
So
That's
this comes
yeah.
okay, so this comes back to you had the confidence to start doing video. You were consistent enough no matter what to continue doing video. And now, not only are you doing like having your own camera crew record you, but you're actually getting like the mainstream media who's going, "Hey man, can we borrow you for a minute?"
Which is so cool. And
That is
honestly, like
wicked cool. Congrats,
I
man. That's
love
pretty cool.
presenting. That's my favorite thing. Like I have a listening presentation after this. I can't wait. I love presenting. The news is the one thing that still makes me go like right before the heart's going. Like they'll count down and I'm like, all right, can't screw this up. All right, like
Dude,
let's go.
I've been fortunate and I'm incredibly grateful to be invited to be, to present at many different events.
Mhm.
And I've done it so many times in front of like so many audiences and so many big audiences and small audiences. And I'll tell you, I remember speaking to somebody once upon a time who's been like to the top of the top, like spoken in front of like way more people than I ever have. And I remember saying to him, like, "Do you ever get nervous?" He's like, "I still get nervous." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Dude, if you don't get nervous before you get up in front of people, it means you don't care, and it means you're just not as bought in." And I went, "All right, cool." Because even for as many times as I do it, just like you said, there's still gonna be those little butterflies, man.
And you know
Now,
what the thing is too? People think I know what questions they're gonna ask me on the news. I don't get any heads up. It's literally here's the topic. Can you talk for 5 minutes on live news? So my little piece of advice, if you ever do it, know what your first answer is going to be, regardless of the question. Because
well,
then
here
it gets you going.
okay, so I'd love to know your answer to this one,
Sure.
um, which you don't know is coming. Uh, how do you know it's been a successful day for you at the end of your day?
Okay. So I learned this from Dean Jackson.
Okay,
I really enjoy him. I interviewed him recently as well. He has this thing called "I'm being successful when" list. Have you ever heard of this?
I don't
Um,
think I have.
okay, so it's like, you know how we tell ourselves, well, I will be successful when I make X amount of money or do this many deals or whatever the thing is for you, right? At a certain point, when you make enough to serve your lifestyle, that's not what drives you anymore because you know you can get those results.
Mhm.
So his thing was like, it's not I will be successful when it's you wake up every single day and you go, I am being successful when. And I love it. And he had this list of 10 things. I made my own version of it. So it's like, I am being successful when I'm working on projects that excite me. I am being successful when I get to take Sundays off. I'm being successful when my passive revenue almost exceeds my lifestyle. That's really what I'm trying to get at outside of real
Mhm.
estate sales
Mhm.
with everything else I'm doing. I'm being successful when I get to wear what I want when I want. So I get to decide every single morning. I have this list printed out. This is my home office, but on my office, like my office, it's
Mhm.
literally
Mhm.
beside my desk. So to answer the question, it's like when I go to bed at night, it's like, did I work on something that excited me? Was I building my business out? Every decision that I make, did it go into a bucket that's actually moving the needle forward, or otherwise I'm not, there doesn't make sense to do it. So that's kind of it. And just
Cool answer,
honestly, at
man.
this point, like just calm. If I could just think calm, if calm could be like my one word,
Calm Tom. Sorry, I had to do
yeah.
it.
Like we work in a business that you can have systems, you can have great people. And as much as you try to be proactive on everything, you do have to react. You have to react to a certain amount of things. And I used to go to Jamaica a lot as a kid, like visiting.
Yep.
And they had a saying that was no problems, only situations.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's it's like you could just say, oh my God, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem. And it would just stress you out all day long. Now it's like, okay, like I have these two situations. How are we going to solve them?
I like
And
that.
it's just switching your mind. Like everything's
Yep. It's a
mindset.
mindset shift.
Yeah, totally.
A mindset shift, man. So, dude, we could keep rapping here. Give me some final words, please. Some tips, some tricks, something to help everybody here tuned in. As we've talked about again, how visibility beats ability. We defined that though and explained that there's still a very big importance to the ability. But for everybody tuned in, how can they get out there, help themselves get out and build more mind share so that they can all just get a hell of a lot more market share?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I think you have to find the one thing that you actually enjoy doing. I don't write blogs because my grammar sucks. That's why I do videos, right? So figure out what your thing is and recognize that whatever that thing is, as long as you do it consistently, right, you will get benefits from it. Like people will eventually see it. Also, that first 6 months of trying that new thing, you literally feel like you were talking to a brick wall. because no one's listening, no one's there, but then they start showing up. So if you give up before that, you're not going to get the results. And recognize that right now we are moving into a market that is going to be more difficult. And just if you just focus not just on your result, but on your behaviors, I promise the results will be there. Like, this is not rocket science. You have to wake up every day. You have to help people. You do what you say you're going to do. You're really good at the numbers. You're great at presentations. You're a good salesperson doing it ethically to make sure people are making decisions that they should make at the right time for them to the best of our ability. And you're building a business that you wake up every single day and you're excited about it. Like, that's really the advice I would give.
Love it, man. How many people on your team?
Including the assistant, we have 7 now.
Cool. Tom, where can people find you, man?
Instagram, just at the Story Team, but there is a fake account pretending to be me right now. So it's Story Team, just spelt like that with EY. There's another fake one. And then YouTube, just type in my name, you'll find me. And by the way, if you watch this in your realtor, watch my stuff and create your own version of it. Like, I took inspiration from a million people and then tweaked it to be my own thing. All my systems in my business, I learned from somebody else, because anyone that's actually successful will tell you exactly what they do on a platter. It's the fakers that tried to hide things.
Tom Storey from the Story Team. Check him out on Instagram. Get in touch with him and the team. Dude, absolutely amazing. Tons and tons of value. I really appreciate you making the time for the Mindshare podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a fun chat.
Awesome, dude. We'll be right back with you, pal. You're either watching us live, you were watching this recording, you were listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle for Realtors. This is a 31-page ebook packed with a ton of tips and tricks for you. Plus, it's a ready-to-go 90-day social media content calendar to help you build more mindshare so that you can get more market share. Also, if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching, an in-person keynote talk for your upcoming event, and/or ongoing virtual training, just get in touch with myself, get in touch with my team. We'll set up a consultation call, explore what you're looking to achieve and how we are going to help you do exactly that. Also, I want to remind everybody, please do not forget that our push to 100 is on. We are looking to get to 100 reviews on iTunes, and it is super, super easy. All you have to do, and you can do this like almost right now, is go to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Leave us a nice 5-star review. Tell us how much you love the show, and of course, tell everybody else how much you love the show. We'd be super, super grateful if you took a moment to do that. Of course, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to take a moment to thank Virginia Munden and the Buzz Conference for sponsoring today's episode. Be sure to visit their website, www.thebuzzconference.com. Follow them on Instagram at The Buzz Conference and keep tabs on all of the awesome events they are always hosting, along with getting the latest copy of the Buzz digital magazine. Remember, 2 events coming up. Mark down these dates. Do it right now. Number 1, we've got the Buzz Top Leaders Under 35 Summit taking place on September 29th at the Mississauga Grand. And number 2, we've got Disruption, which was originally scheduled for September. I've mentioned it several times to you. Just want to let you know that there is an updated date for that. That's now going to be taking place on January 12th, 2023. So again, be sure to get your tickets at thebuzzconference.com. Of course, I want to thank Kids Keep in Touch Systems for sponsoring today's episode. If you haven't checked this out yet, just go to my site, mindshare101.com, and click on marketing. This has been another episode of the Mindshare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.